Hey guys, here is Rainy and this is the third lecture of our Unreal course. Let's begin. Okay, in last lecture we created a blueprint for our simple enemy objects. I just changed the color, it means I create another materials instance with red color and also change a little bit the color of the brown part. I think it's more distinguishable now. But the point is, when you press play, and you shoot this object, nothing is happened. It's not so fun. We would like to add some physics or interaction to this object. But how we can do it? It's pretty simple. Just select your objects and go to your static mesh component that you already added using C++. And here you see under the physics tab, there is a checkmark or boolean that currently is false. It says simulate physics is false. When you check it and we press play, you will see suddenly it starts simulating the physics, and when you shoot it, it's reacting to our weapon or projectile, or even to our palm, to our character. Okay, but how we can do it inside the C++, because we would like to create any object from this class with physics simulation. Let's see our code again. I will review the things that we did in the last lecture. Here we create a member called from the UStatic mesh component class, and then we called it enemy mesh. And in the constructor of this class, we create a default subobject from the UStatic mesh component class and assign it to the enemy mesh. If we get enemy mesh and then go into the things that you can do to this object, any methods that is available, or any functions, or any variable that is assigned to this object. One of them are physics. Yeah, you can see set simulate physics. And here it asks for the boolean. Set whether or not a single body should use physics simulation. Here we need to only type true. When you build the solution, I repeat that you can use this button or press Ctrl-Shift-B, or inside Unreal press compile. All of them are the same. And when you choose your blueprint here now, let's open a full blueprint editor and see your enemy mesh component. Simulate physics is not checked here, but the point is it shows that it's not the default value. Everything that is not the default value will be defined by this arrow, reverse arrow. When you press it, okay, it shows that by default it has simulate physics. And our object has it also by default now. And it means any other blueprint class that you build, or any C++ that you take from this class, we call it simple enemy. It's only, for example, you do not need to do it. And just new blueprints. When you check the static mesh, here the simulate physics is already checked, and it's done by default. It's really cool. Okay, this is one point. But let's make some more gamified features in our game. I don't want to create every time the pound myself. I would like to spawn them automatically. In this case, first of all, let's delete this one. We do not need it. Let's create another C++ class that do this one for us. I will create a new C++ class. But let's think what we need from this class. Does it need to be an AI, or Does it need to have some controller or other things, or it just needs to spawn something for us? I think it's only doing the spawning for us. And in this case, I feel the actor is enough. Why? Because it will give us the opportunity to get the world location of this class. Select the actor, and we will call it enemy spawner. Let's create this class. Okay, cool. When you open the Rider, sometimes you will see there are some problems like a Rider with the methods or other things that it should not be like this. If you have the same problem, just close the Rider and also close it completely inside your task manager. And here, if you search for the Rider, it's not there, and open the Rider again. In the case that it's not closed completely, you can close there. Now it should be usually solved. Okay, let's first check the difference between the Pawn default C++ class and this actor one. Here is the header file. It has generate body, a public method for a constructor, and then begin play takes set player input components. But in our actor one, we have the same ones, only there is no set player controller here, like this set player input controller, because this one is not defined by default for getting the controller. But it doesn't mean you cannot do it, but it's absolutely much easier. If you want to have a controller on one object, it's better to start with Pawn. Okay, I would like to create an object from the enemy class. It means I need a member that will reference to that enemy object or enemy class. Okay, let's create it. This time I will make it private because I think I will need it only inside this class. And it should be your property, because as you remember, we need to modify it inside the Unreal editor, and it's much easier. Call it edit anywhere for now. Sometimes we can also call it edit defaults only, but for now we can keep it edit anywhere. And category, I will call it features. Okay, how we should take that class? The best way is use this type T subclass of. It will ask for the class of specific class, and we can call it a simple enemy. If you use Rider, it will automatically add include for the simple enemy here. Otherwise, you should do it manually by yourself. And then what's the name? Enemy Pawn. Okay, cool. We already created. But the point is, it's better to do not usually define so many includes in the header file. It takes much more time for the compile and also build time. There is another solution called forward declaration. In this case, first remove this one. We will type class and copy paste exactly this name here. It will do the same for us, only the difference is we will define that include here. Include simple enemy. Yeah, that's great. Let's see what's happened when we build it. And also let's go to the blueprints. Let's build finish. Okay, cool. And create a new blueprint. And we called it enemy spawn. You can see here under the actor parts we have this enemy spawn. Call it BP enemy spawn. Okay, drag and drop this into the scene. You see it's nothing, it's only that sphere to indicate that it's a class or blueprint class. Just press on edit and attach it to the top. You will see here inside our hierarchy of this object, we have the feature category that we already defined into our C++ code here as a category of this view property. And when you open it, okay, you will see only the objects that's inherited from the simple enemy class. And I can select blueprint simple enemy. When I press compile and press play, yeah, absolutely nothing happened because we didn't do anything with that object. Let's do something. Okay. Go to the C++ file, press Alt-O to go to the, instead of the header file to C++ file. And inside the begin play, I would like to spawn that that pound or that class that we already defined before. Okay. In that case, we can use the spawn actor method, but it's a part of getWord class. Then search right getWord. Okay, arrow. GetWord, when we are using it, it's a pointer, and in that case you need to use arrows. If you use right arrow and you even type that, it will automatically convert it to arrows, and sometimes it's easier to type and it's faster. GetWord and then spawn actor. You see it's converted. I have spawn actor. It has several different overloads. And the overload that we want to use here is this one. We will define the class and then location and rotation. But first of all, because it's a generic method, we should define the class that enemy the pound is inherited from. We call it a simple enemy. And then we will define our member enemy pound, where we want to create this object. Let's look at it again in our Unreal. I would like to create an object exactly at the position of this blueprint. Okay, I will write here enemy pound, and then where is the location of that object? It's exactly the location of this component, and we will call it gets actor location. And in the same way, gets actor rotation. That's it. The other things has the default value. When you see something has equal here, it means it has default value and you do not need to define it. Otherwise, you should define everything that is not defined by default. Let's build it. Let's play it. Okay, you see. Let's see again. At the begin play, it's already generated. It's cool, yeah? Very good. Let's go one step further. I would like to define methods for generation of these objects. Let's define our first methods. We already learned how we can define members, but how we should do it for methods, it's like this. It's also a private one. I will distinguish between the members and methods. It's your choice. And this method will return nothing, and the name is enemy generator. Okay, cool. One of the benefits of Rider here, you can use this button and generate implementation automatically, or press Alt Enter. That will open the same menu and press Enter. It will generate this method for you. Otherwise, you should type it manually and put the name of the class at the start, then colon, and then the name of the method. Okay, enable. Just cut, paste it here, and here I will call that method enemy generator. It should do the same. Let's see, just build it. And press play. See, it's working the same. Okay, cool. But it gives us one benefit. Now I can use the timer method in Unreal. What's the timer method? It will do the specific methods that we define in our code, or maybe somewhere else, and it will repeat it every couple of seconds, or it will do it only one time but after a couple of seconds. How it is working? It's again under the getWord class. It's word, that's timer. You see, it's a get timer, and underneath we want to define the set timer. Okay, this set timer method has already several overloads. The one that we want to use is this one. The first things that we need is the time handler. It's in and out variable. That it means it can also modify, but don't worry about it. It's not important for now. Just create a time handler. Time handle. Call it timer handle. Yeah, and just pass it through. Timer handle. What's the next thing? It's the user class. That it's this class. We call this. The next thing is the method that we would like to call after a certain time. What's the method is this one, but we should give a reference to it. Then we should use ampersand and enemy spawner, colon, and enemy generator. Next step is to give a time that the timer should count, and after it runs this method. It's maybe every 3 seconds do it. And the next thing is, should it be loop? Yeah, cool. Let's have a loop. True. Let's see what will happen. Just imagine that I will also remove this one. We will not need it. Whenever you need to clean up your code a little bit, just press Ctrl Alt Enter. It will clean the code and restructure it. Ctrl Shift B to build it. Let's press play. Okay, nothing happened, but after 3 seconds, oh cool, the first one, then the next, and it will continue generating these objects, our enemy objects. Just imagine how much cool things you can create with a simple timer and a spawn enemy. Cool. I think it's enough for this lecture, and see you in the next one. Bye.